Hello internet, and today's video is going to be another book opinion, those videos in which I tell you my opinion on a book. Today's book is going to be The Sculptor by McCloud. This is a graphic novel, a very long one, and I read it last tome topple. I really enjoyed it, so now I'm going to tell you what I did like about it. So this is about a young sculptor, and he's right now in like the worst period of his life. He used to be really great, he used to be really successful, but now he's at a down period. He's not so successful, his name has been ruined, it has been dragged, he's poor, he's just a struggling artist, and he meets Death. And Death tells him, hey dude, I'll make a deal with you. You trade the rest of your life and I will give you a gift to sculpt anything with your bare hands. Once I give you this gift, you only have 200 days to live, man. But in those 200 days, do whatever you want with your art. Like, become the greatest artist, the greatest sculptor you want to be. And this guy sells away his life for this gift and for those 200 days with the gift. So through this book, it's just talking about his need, his want to be successful. He made a promise that he has to be successful, that if he goes into the art sphere, if he becomes a sculptor, that he can't be a failing sculptor, he can't be a failing artist, he can't be a struggling artist. He has to succeed, he has to make a name for himself. And the worst part about it is his name is the most generic, common, randomized name in the world. He's called David Smith, and there's at least 50,000 of them. So he struggles with this idea, not only because of the concept of the struggling artist being a reality more often than not, but because his name is so common that even when he was successful, he was always referred to as, oh, that David Smith. Like, he didn't have anything, even when he was successful, that shone on him, that showed him out from everyone else. And his need, his desperate desire to create a legacy, to create a remembrance, to create something that everyone will praise and worship and say, oh, David Smith sculpted that. That is the driving heart of this book. And I think that's a very important message that we all need to take away. I think, like, as kids, we just lollygag, we just do whatever we want, right? We're kids, we're free to dream all the dreams we can, but then adults start coming up to us and hitting us with harsh realities and sometimes destroying that child dream in us to just live life and have fun, and we're crushed with this weight of the world that we are supposed to make a legacy for ourselves as soon as possible. We're supposed to be someone, change the world, and how for a lot of us that controls us at the end of the day, that we don't care about happiness or about others or about anything outside of our potential legacy, outside of being worshipped at the end of the day, outside of our name being praised for centuries after we passed. And I thought that was like poignant. That was such a thing to see this guy struggle in his 200 days, think, oh, I'm gonna make this name, oh, I'm gonna create a legacy, oh, I'm gonna go so far and so fast and so great because I'm gonna be the best sculptor in the world, and how the world just kept getting in his way and being like, nope, not today, and how depressed he would become because he couldn't create this legacy, how he would mull over the fact that he couldn't create this legacy, how he would mull over the fact that he couldn't create a name for himself that people would remember, that people would keep in their mind. So I really, really love that message. I love seeing that. I love seeing that struggle. I like seeing all those emotions, and I like seeing like how horrible it can make you and how bad your world can become when you focus on those sort of things. I very much think this is like more of a warning story of, you can't focus all your life on being remembered past your life. You have to focus living on living, not on trying to gain some name in a textbook. From there, the characters, that sort of thing, they were a little lacking, right? I really just like this book because of its message. The main character, the side characters, they were pretty awful people. I'm not going to give them any props. They weren't like the most upstanding people. They weren't the pinnacles. Sometimes they could be one note. Sometimes they could be a little more interesting. I mean, the girl that he falls in love with, that tries to show him to live life, she was a little irritating. I was just like, no, she was frustrating. The way that this book dealt with mental illness was just so misinformed, and I would hope no one took a healthy perspective from this book, because I don't think this book is trying to show you healthy characters, is trying to show you like proper ways to act in any way. These characters are not the thing that you want to strive to be. I think this book serves best if you read it as a warning for things that will warn you away, for things that there are good messages out there, but when you start to focus so much on an idea, that can be bad. Even with this kid, with him trying to create the legacy for himself, that was too much. That was bad. His friend, who only cared about finding love, even when he was told over and over, dude, the way you're looking for love, the men you're finding love in, they don't care about you. And he didn't care. He was like, oh, they're using me, I'm using them. And how bad that is, that his goal in life was just finding someone to love him, and how toxic his relationships were because of that, and how horrible the end goal was because of that. And even the main character, not the main character, even the girl the main character falls in love with, the girl who's supposed to show him that there's more outside of his desire and his obsession with creating a name, I think she's even a dangerous character, because her manicness, her need to be spontaneous, to find all the joy in the life, to be super artistic and happy all the time, that is her downfall, because it turns out it is impossible for her to be happy all the time. It's impossible for anyone to be happy, but she cannot be happy, because even if she wanted to, her brain chemics won't allow her to naturally, because she doesn't produce the right endorphins or whatever. I'm not well versed in the practicals of how depression and mental illness works, okay? I'm sorry, but she has some form, I can't remember what exactly it was, but she is so focused on like just being happy all the time, being really manic, being like, ooh, yes, I'm going to inspire the world and be happy all the time. And she pushes for that, even though that is impossible for her. And she's obsessed with that, obsessed with always being happy, obsessed so much to the point that it's dangerous for her, because she puts herself in situations where it's like, girl, you just need to be sad sometimes, and it's okay. But she's so obsessed with being happy, she forgets. She denies the fact that she has to be sad sometimes. So I think this book works best if when you read it, you take it as a warning. Take it as a warning that sometimes we can place too much importance on unimportant things, or too much of even a good thing can be a bad thing. That we need to accept the negatives and the goods in life, not just focus on being successful or being happy all the time or searching for love, because when we make that the main focus of our life, we start making choices that make those supposed good and positive things toxic in the way that they are in our life, right? We corrupt them with so much desire and need and wanting that we forget to look for them in their purest form. We just want them so bad that we start looking for them in the wrong places, that we start focusing on them in the wrong way, that we forget about the rest of the world, that other things outside of those things are also important, because we are so obsessed with what we have put on this altar of greatness. I think when you read this book, just don't pay attention to none of these characters. They're not good people. You don't want to aspire to be them. What you want to focus on is the message and seeing how these people's obsessions and deep desires turn them and morph them, and how they're happier when they're not so focused on them, when they see the world outside of their one-mindedness, and how that is what makes you happy, being open-minded, seeing the world as a whole instead of as that one obsession you have put on an altar to strive for. Not to say that goals are bad, just that you need to calm down and breathe sometimes and not obsess too much. The Sculptor, fairly good book, has some decent messages if that's what you're into, which I am. Don't pay attention to none of the characters. Pay attention to the message of the book. The art is very good. I liked how it was all done with like blues. This didn't have any other colors outside of like blues and blacks and grays and stuff like that. I thought that was really good. I liked imagining the colors. I like when like graphic novels give you some visual imagination as well, where you still have to put in place certain things, because it's a little different than reading a regular novel. Definitely a heavy book, like just holding it, I'm just like, new murder weapon right here. So my question at the end of this video for all of you to answer if you wish is, are there certain books that while you don't like the characters and you wish no one would ever strive to be those characters, you still love the message of the book? Because this is definitely one of those books for me. I recommend it to you guys if you need a reminder on not having to obsess and how dangerous obsession can be. But I hope that you guys don't emulate these characters and strive to be these characters, because they're not that great. So comment down below if there are any books like that for you, and if you like what you're seeing here and you want to see more, you click all those buttons down below, and goodbye, internet.